All right, y'all, welcome to the show. I have an amazing one for you today. The vibes of this show are going to be tremendous. I mean, the vibe meter is just off the charts. So, in just a second, we're going to lead with Kamala and Tim Walz do their first rally where they absolutely eviscerate Trump and Vance. Then I'm going to do a deep dive on Tim Walz's policies. Now, you might think, well, hold on, Kyle. You have that list that you always trot out when you talk about Tim Walz. Let's just say that's only like 40% of the list. I didn't give you 60% of his policies, both as a congressman and now as a governor. I'm going to break all of that down for you. You're going to know where this guy stands, what his ideology really is. Then we're going to get to some interesting backstory as to why Kamala picked Tim Walz. Republicans are absolutely losing it. I mean, they are shitting themselves in fear over the Tim Walz pick, even though they're pretending like, bro, it's totally fine. I mean, this was a gift to us, bro. I don't even know what you're talking about, bro. Then, of course, I'm late to this, but I got to talk about it. Donald Trump was sucked off by the dumbest streamer in the country. I'm going to show you just how dumb this guy is. And a panicked Donald Trump is now trying to wish cast a return of Joe Biden. He misses the days when he was like 6 points up on Joe Biden because Joe Biden couldn't complete a sentence. So, again, today's show is just off the charts. All right, let's go ahead and dive into it. And everybody, you know the deal. Please do me a big favor and subscribe to the channel. That helps out big time. It costs you absolutely nothing. Let's do it. So, guys, last night was the first official Kamala Harris, Tim Walz rally. And look, I've never seen anything like this. The Obama election was the first one I voted in. But with the Obama election, both in the primary and in the general, everything felt like sort of a slow buildup. It was like a slow buildup over time. And yes, I think Democrats were feeling very hopeful and very confident, but that was, again, it was like a slow-moving thing where you built it brick by brick, right? And I'm talking about both in the primary season against Hillary Clinton and then in the general against McCain all the way back in 2008. The Bernie movement was electric, but the Bernie movement was primarily in the primary, right? And so it's a little bit of a different feeling when it's only step one of a two-step process and your ass has to get through the general also. So as you all know, it was not that long ago at all that Biden was the candidate, and it was like, holy shit, this is like watching a train wreck. Like every time he opened his mouth, you would hold your breath and say, Jesus Christ, I hope he can get to the end of this sentence. Oh my God, that makes no sense. Oh my God, did he forget where he is? What kind of medical problem does he have? This is going bad. Oh, look, the poll slipped even more. There was just zero enthusiasm, dog. Zero. I have never seen such a thorough and complete vibe shift as this. So Biden steps aside. Kamala becomes the one, picks, and I'm not kidding about this, literally the best possible pick she could have made in the entire country. If you asked me on day one, when Kamala became the one, hey, who should she pick as VP in order to have the best chance of winning and in order to, move the administration in a better direction, my answer immediately would have been Tim Walz. I would have said Tim Walz over Bernie Sanders. And guess what? She went with Tim Walz, as we've discussed. Okay. All right, so we're starting to cook here. Things are percolating a little bit. Now let's throw it to the rally. This is this is in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I thought it was in Atlanta, but that was the previous one. So this is in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and Jesus Christ. So here we go. Let's start with this. This is Kamala introducing Tim Walz to the country, and listen to this story that she tells. Here we go.
Tim wasn't only a role model on the football field. Around that same time, Coach Walz was approached by a student in his social studies class. The young man was one of the first openly gay students at the school and was hoping to start a gay-straight alliance. At a time when acceptance was difficult to find for LGBTQ students, Tim knew the signal that it would send to have a football coach get involved. So he signed up to be the group's faculty advisor. And as students have said, he made this school a safe place for everybody. in the high school yearbook, the students voted Coach Walz the, quote, most inspiring faculty member.
Now, later on, I'm going to do a detailed segment as to what we know in the background as to why Kamala ultimately went with Tim Walz. That's a really interesting backstory. As you all know, it was down to Tim Walz and Josh Shapiro, the best possible candidate and one of the worst possible candidates. But again, she made the right decision. So we'll get to more on that later as to why exactly she picked him. But look, this was just a little piece of it, a little bit of an introduction to Tim Walz. That's a touching story there. This guy is not only a veteran, but he was a teacher. He's a football coach, by the way. Apparently he has a phenomenal record as a football coach where he took a massive losing team and made them a winning team. And so that's got, an interesting story all in and of itself. But we had this. Also, I should point out that before Kamala spoke, we had Josh Shapiro speak. And Josh Shapiro, look, I have many issues with Josh Shapiro, as you all know. He's in favor of corporate tax cuts. He's in favor of charter schools. He's turbo-Zionist. He's even worse on the issue than other standard Zionist Democrats, and it's not like the other Zionist Democrats are good. But he gave a speech. Of course, he's doing his whole vibe, all of his swag is ripped off from Obama. I mean, it's like he studied Obama's tape. But in that speech, there was an interesting moment where he mentioned, I don't know if he mentioned J.D. Vance or he talked about Tim Walz and, they thought of J.D. Vance, but the crowd started chanting something like, he's a weirdo. And I was like, oh my God. Back for Trump in 2016, you had what was happening online was this explosion of pro-Trump energy. And that energy online transmitted into real life. And it was a sign of like, oh, he sort of got a wave behind him. Now we get that online energy of the whole weirdo line, and it's coming to real life in the rallies where the people in the audience are chanting, he's a weirdo, talking about J.D. Vance. That was the first sign of like, oh, something's going on here, bro. Something's going on here, bro, but it's about to get a hell of a lot better. So Kamala did her thing in her speech. She did a good job. I'm actually kind of amazed at how much better she is now versus how she was in 2020. She felt very inauthentic in 2020. She didn't seem very comfortable in 2020. But ever since she got the nod because Biden stepped aside, there's a real pep in her step, and she seems more confident and more like herself. But now we get to Tim Walz, and this guy brought the house Downington. Watch this. Here we go. Let's start with this one.
Some of us in here are old enough to remember. I see you down there. I see those old white guys. Some of us are old enough to remember when it was Republicans who were talking about freedom. It turns out now what they meant was the government should be free to invade your doctor's office. In Minnesota, we respect our neighbors and their personal choices that they make. Even if we wouldn't make the same choice for ourselves, there's a golden rule. Mind your own damn business. These guys are after my heart chanting, mind your own damn business. That feels good, so thank you.
He's exactly what Kamala needed. The knock on Kamala is that she's a little bit of a technocrat, a little bit of an elitist, if you will, from the Democratic Party machine. And she needed like this folksy, common sense, down-to-earth Midwest white guy who, in this instance, also happens to be on the left for real. And that's how you get arguments like this. Arguments that immediately land with literally anybody who's listening. Making a positive case for freedom and saying, these motherfuckers are the authoritarians. We're going to defend your freedoms. Yes, inject it into my veins. I got more, though. I think we're going in sort of like order here of like it gets better and better and better as we continue. So now we have this awesome moment.
Now, Donald Trump sees the world a little differently than us. First of all, he doesn't know the first thing about service. He doesn't have time for it because he's too busy serving himself. Again and again and again, Trump weakens our economy to strengthen his own hand. He mocks our laws. He sows chaos and division. And that's to say nothing of his record as president. He froze in the face of the COVID crisis. He drove our economy into the ground. And make no mistake, violent crime was up under Donald Trump. That's not even counting the crimes he committed.
Oh, shit. Look at that audience, bro. And look at Kamala's face. Oh, my God. This is landing. How many times were we saying, look, if you're Joe Biden, you have to, every time you open your mouth to talk about Trump, you have to say convicted felon, criminal, 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 91 charges, committed fraud in 7 different ways, you know, was sued for defamation over a sexual assault case. Like, just nonstop fraud, 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 criminal, 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 tried to overthrow the government. And here he goes out there. What a great line that was. Violent crime was up under Donald Trump, and that doesn't even include the crimes he committed. Oh, Trump's reeling, dog. Trump is reeling. He's bleeding. He's on the ground, and he's twitching. Oh, my God. Guys, again, we haven't seen anything like this in a really long time. It was a different feel for Obama because it was a slow buildup to when he had his moment. And with Bernie, it was electric, it was explosive, but it was always limited to the primaries. Now we're in a general. The vibes were below the basement, thinking, oh my God, Biden's going to be the one? And he's going to run against Trump? Are you kidding me? And then they do the old switcheroo, and now, look at the country is just exploding with enthusiasm now. Holy shit. All right. But I saved the best for last, bro. I saved the best for last. So here he comes, Tim Walz. Look, again, this is what the right does so well is, you know, in the Trump era, there was this real connection between what real life was like, real speeches were like, real interviews were like, and this like vast online world of pro-Trump support. On the Democratic side, you never had that. Even with Bernie, there was a whole lot of enthusiasm online, but he would always do his best to distance himself from the so-called Bernie bros who are really mean and they accuse them of being sexist and all these things. He'd be like, I condemn them. I don't want them to vote for me. And he wasn't willing to ride the wave of enthusiasm that was there for him, right? Well, guess what? Kamala and Tim Walz are riding that wave, bro. Here's the line that Tim Walz delivered, which is the big one everybody was talking about.
Like all regular people I grew up with in the heartland, JD studied at Yale. Had his career funded by Silicon Valley billionaires, and then wrote a bestseller trashing that community. Come on! That's not what middle America is. And I gotta tell you, I can't wait to debate the guy.
Oh.
That is, if he's willing to get off the couch and show up. So, you see what I did there?
The audience knows. You gotta look at Kamala's face. The audience knows. Look at Kamala's face here. Look at Kamala's face. I know all of you know this, but for the 3 people watching this who don't, there was a meme that exploded online. Somebody was shitposting and just said, in page like 179 to 181 of Hillbilly Elegy, which is J.D. Vance's book, he admits that he fucked a couch. Totally untrue. J.D. Vance did not fuck a couch. By the way, everybody knows he didn't fuck a couch. But it exploded because it was funny, right? And it sort of feeds into these guys are weird. And so it took off massively online, man. It was just huge online. It just landed. I don't know why it landed, but it landed, right? They've seen the couch memes. And even if you want to say, hey, it's just their staff that saw the couch memes, they didn't see it. But they're willing to ride the wave of enthusiasm. They're willing to be up there and have fun with it. These are Democrats who are not scared of their own fucking shadow. And it is so goddamn refreshing. Holy shit. Guys, again, the vibe shift is tremendous. I haven't seen vibes like this in a really long time, arguably ever, because of the unique circumstances as to how this came about. But I'm still floored that Kamala made the right pick. She made the right pick. And it's going to pay dividends. It absolutely is. So I'm going to do a separate segment in just a second, doing a deep dive on Tim Walz's policies. But just from a vibes perspective, oh man, they are hitting on all cylinders. Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.